Good afternoon and welcome to 12 and a half minutes. My name is Andy Campbell and I'm here with your weekly hit of hope, information and inspiration, brought to you by Elevator, one of Scotland's leading entrepreneurial and business support organisations. We are streaming live today on YouTube and Facebook, so make sure you click like, comment and subscribe, and we'll be delighted to take some of your comments throughout today for today's guest. As we know, the UK and in fact the world is locked in a battle right now with COVID-19, and our frontline forces are the brave staff of the NHS, our care sector workers, our charity workers, key workers. In fact, there are a whole range of people that are involved in this fight. And to those who are involved in this fight and who are giving so much at this time, we thank you. It is a battle that I am sure we will absolutely win. Today is also a rather poignant day as we commemorate the 75th anniversary of VE Day, a chance to remember our armed forces. And again, to those who gave so much, we thank you for your service. It's therefore an honour for me to be joined by a guest who has served his country no less than 3 occasions: the Gulf War, the Iraq War, and the war in Afghanistan. Here today to talk to us about leadership in adversity, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Major General Martin Smith. Martin, good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
Hello, Andy. Yeah, I'm very well.
Great, and thank you so much for spending 12 and a half minutes with us today. And clearly a really important day for the military and all of the armed forces who served in the Second World War, commemorating VE Day in 1945, of course. So thank you for spending this time with us today. Martin, whereabouts are you joining us from? Where are you in lockdown from at the moment?
Yeah, we're near Kirriemuir in Glen Isla. Which, if you have to go through this particular experience, is not a bad place to go through it in.
Good stuff. Well, as I say, you've served in no less than 3 conflicts, the Gulf War, Iraq War, and the war in Afghanistan. And now you've transitioned from your military career into business, Martin. So we are very thankful for your time today and being able to join us. And now I'd like to, I guess, hand over to you to tell us a little bit more about your career, your military experience and that transition into working life. So over to you, Martin.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. And thanks for your introduction. I'm very aware that in talking about adversity, there are people who are suffering much more adversity in their lives than I ever have, and therefore I think it's very important to recognise the sacrifices of the Second World War and the other major conflicts we've been involved in, and also, as you so rightly said, the efforts of the NHS, who in many ways, if you like the soldiers now, they're the people on the front line. But I've been asked to talk a little bit about my career, and then to bring out one particular sort of instance or example to illustrate how we approach leading through adversity. It's a fascinating format, this, and I'm aware that I've only got about 3 minutes to kick this off, so I'll rush through it quite quickly, and then let's get into the questions. But to do with me and my career, it's probably worth noting that at the start, I never thought I would join the Royal Marines. I went to Bristol University to study zoology, to be a biologist. And it took me about 2 years to realise I probably wasn't cut out to be a scientist and needed to look for a profession. I knew some Royal Marines, managed to get invited on one of their training exercises. But although the job of a Royal Marine is quite interesting, riding in fast boats, climbing cliffs and blowing things up, it is a fantastic thing to do in many ways. It really wasn't that attracted me. It was the Marines I met that persuaded me that these were the people that I wanted to spend my time with and dedicate my career to. And it's this theme of people and the importance of people that I'd like to bring out throughout this sort of 2 minutes. So I joined the Royal Marines. I went through a series of very privileged roles within the Marines where I was actually commanding other people, and there is no privilege like actually being in command of other people, especially in a military wartime situation. But as I go through the Marines, I also got interested in information and the idea that there were people out there fighting information battles against us while we were trying to fight force-on-force battles against them, and that we, in my view, we hadn't really appreciated the importance of information and how that importance would grow as we went into and through the 21st century. So I did quite a lot of that work on that in the Marines, and it was quite a good fit for me as I left after 33 years, having sort of got to the top, having commanded the Royal Marines, to go into a second career that is all to do with information, cybersecurity. And I think that much as the physical threats to us have not gone away, the cyber threats to us are a growing phenomenon and will be for the foreseeable future. So quite a logical place for me to end up. Now, in talking about a particular instance which involves adversity, and in this case is particularly to do with how you re-establish initiative and momentum when those two vital factors have been lost, I'd like to take you back to Afghanistan in late 2008 and the province of Helmand, where 3 Commander Brigade, a force of about 10,000 for that operation, are just taking over the province of Helmand, military responsibility for NATO operations in that area. So we do the handover, we start to settle in, but within 2 days, we're subject to a rocket attack in the capital of Helmand, a town called Lashkargah, where our headquarters is based, straight into the center of the city from an area just west of the city over the Helmand River. We're then subject to a ground attack across the bridge, which we managed to defeat, followed by several rocket attacks over succeeding nights. And this clearly wasn't in the script. This isn't what's supposed to happen at all. And it's not something that we could live with. So I was very swiftly given the job of re-establishing Afghan government control in that district to the west of the city across the Helmand River. So like anyone would, I get out there and I take a quick look, and I realize that the very small and rather beleaguered force we have in there has effectively lost all initiative. It's bottled up in the center of the district. It can probably move around 600 to 1,000 meters before it's subject to attack by the Taliban. So in a situation like this, we tend to think about the plan and the resources. So the plan we came up with was to turn the tables on the Taliban by adopting an ambush strategy. So instead of patrolling against them, we'd sit in covered protected positions, wait for them to move and hit them. And the aim was to make them more scared to leave their base area than we were to leave ours. Good, logical plan. Resourcing. Okay, I had a few troops I could throw in, but I was really sort of building the force up for the big push. So not much in the way of resources, but I did have a key leader I could put in to take charge of this, who I trusted, and that turned out to be very important. So it all hinged effectively on the first action. I've come up with this plan that probably some of these beleaguered people don't really believe in necessarily. And the team goes out to set its first ambush. It moves at night. It goes into covered positions, and this is a big test case. If this goes well, then we can establish some psychological momentum. If we fail, then it's going to be much more difficult. And what happens, of course, is the Taliban, not being completely stupid, don't walk into our ambush. And there's almost a slight Mexican standoff until one of our people drives his not very well protected Land Rover up through our ambush position, which is something you're taught never to do because you can get ambushed by your own people, engages the Taliban with his machine gun, and then falls back, encourages them through our ambush, which is then sprung, highly successful. People start to gain confidence. And from that moment on, we started to re-establish that momentum that we needed. 4 weeks later, we launched the major operation because we had established the maneuver space that we needed to do that. We took back the rest of the district within about 2.5 weeks. So a successful operation, but it all hinged really on that initial action, successful failure on that initial ambush. Yeah, always going to confirm whether this is going to work or not.
And that's a fantastic overview. We can only but imagine the situation, the conflict that you were in at that time, the pressure that was on all of you to deliver. But everyone's looking at you, I guess, as the leader, and you've got a troop of people that you need to bring along with you and on that. So it'd be good to get an insight into some of your key tactics of leadership. What is it that you need to say? How is it that you need to act in order to bring that squad behind you in order to deliver, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things is to try and work out how much of this you're actually going to do personally. So there's always going to be an element of putting your hand on the tiller and steering the ship, if you like, providing a personal example. You need to get out front. You need to demonstrate that you are prepared to take risk if necessary. But on the other hand, that's not your key role. Your key role is to marshal the whole thing. So you're going to be reliant on other people to step up to the plate. So you're trying to create a culture where everyone trusts the plan, and people are almost looking for opportunities to do something extraordinarily capable to progress that plan.
And I would imagine, Martin, that as a leader, yes, you've got to lead by example. You've got to be present in your actions there, but really knowing your people and knowing their capabilities is another key part of the role and the task. Can you give me an insight on some of the things that you do and practices that you put into place in order to get to know your people better, to get the best out of them?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably important to realise that in the Marines, a basic Marine does the thick end of 8 months training before they ever go on operations. So there's a lot of sort of cultural infusion. Everyone understands the requirements, and you can actually get to know each other quite well. In that particular situation in Afghanistan, I didn't know most of the people I was dealing with. We put the force together fairly quickly. So it's just getting around, trying to look them in the eye, trying to instill confidence, and then just sort of picking out the ones you think are going to be the key leaders below you, that are going to help you sell this plan and make it work. Sometimes you have to do that on the hoof. Sometimes you haven't known these people for months in advance.
And presumably every situation, particularly in a military one, that to a certain degree there is an unknown factor about this, and you are leading your troops, you're leading yourself into the unknown. And sometimes as a leader, people look to you for all the answers. So how do you balance that off, maybe going into the unknown, but perhaps being expected to know the answers and the solutions, Martin?
Yeah, but there's no such thing as a leader who isn't an optimist. But a leader who is an over-optimist is not credible and will lose that ability to lead fairly quickly. So there's a very delicate balance here. You're telling people the plans are going to work. You are optimistic, but not stupidly so, because hard-bitten Royal Marines that have been in several conflicts in their lives probably will see through that very quickly. So it's just finding that balance. Be an optimist, but don't be over-optimistic. You need confidence, but not overconfidence.
And I'm sure, Martin, in the field of war, you will have seen many challenges, many sad moments, many moments where there has been a degree of desperation or concern or worry, and I'm sure there's a skill set that you've had to deploy in order to get through those tough times. And it's an aspect of war, I guess, that for those that have not signed up to the military or not been involved, we're relatively ignorant to. So I guess we can only imagine what was involved there. But what I'm quite keen to find out is this transition piece now that you've seen in your own personal life. You've had a hugely successful career in the military, and now you're running Cyber Prism in the business world. So I'd be keen to find out about the skill sets that you've transferred over from your military career into your business career. Yeah.
One of the interesting things about Cyber Prism is that although COVID-19 has changed business practices for so many people, we've sort of always operated in this way. So we're spread around the country, by which I mean the United Kingdom. And so we've always operated at distance. So the ability to build trust over distance has always been quite important to us, and something I've sort of encountered before in my career. So I think we've now got, Cyber Prism is at a point where we can operate really effectively in these difficult circumstances. What might be slightly more challenging is, if you like, the sales and marketing side. In other words, how do you build trust with potential clients at distance when you're not face to face with them? And that's a really interesting proposition, and it's not easy. It's going to involve an awful lot of time, probably on links like this. You need to open yourself up to the potential client, allow them to test you in various ways, and be happy to be challenged by people in the end who you're expecting to pay you money to provide a valuable service.
Great. And just as we start to come close to the end of our 12.5 minutes, it always goes a lot faster than we expect. It'd be great to maybe if you could summarize some of your thoughts of what's likely to be coming down the line, what's over the horizon in the world of cyber security.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would say that the big new area, if you like, in cybersecurity is to do with operational technology. So the systems that make factories, oil platforms, and ships actually work. A lot of work's being done on cybersecurity for these particular sort of SCADA type systems. But the thing that really interests us is the overlap between that and information technology. So whereas so many people would have said you have to have an air gap between your IT and OT networks in the past, that's not going to survive contact with the future. It's the convergence of IT and OT and how we manage that safely that I think is the big new area, and something we're devoting a lot of time and energy on.
Fantastic, Martin, and presumably all of those skills that you have built within your military career, you'll be putting into good practice as you, I guess, fight the next new battle and the next new territory. And I'm sure, no doubt, as you have had throughout your military career, success will follow you also. Martin, it's been a real honour and a real privilege to spend 12.5 minutes with you today. There's been some really great, insightful pieces coming out there, which I'm sure for those watching will take a lot from. So Martin Smith, General Major Martin Smith, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Great. Well, thank you to Martin Smith for being able to spend his time with us today. Lots of great insight. As you know, we are broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook. And if you've got any comments or you'd like to post anything up, please do so. And our team will be able to get back to them. And if you do have any questions for Martin that you would like to follow up on, please pop them up on Facebook or on our YouTube feed, and we will be able to address them and get them to him. So thank you to all of you for tuning in. Next week, we have another tremendous guest. Rachel Corsey will be joining us live from Salt Lake City over in Utah. And Rachel, as many of you will know, is the captain of the Scotland national women's football team. So please do join in next Friday at 3 p.m. To listen to Rachel as we spend another 12.5 minutes. Thank you to everyone for joining in. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend, and please do stay safe. Thank you.